Americans are eager for alternatives to hostile woke companies. At New Founding, we want to help. What does it take to grow an exceptional pro-American business, and how can we start more of them? Welcome to Align, where you can find out. Our host, Bart Lomont, will be your guide. From his Indiana family farm to Air Force veteran, Shark Tank entrepreneur to president of Principal Investments, Bart is your premier guide to buying pro-American.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today on this episode of the Align Podcast. I'm your host, Bart Lomont. Our guest today is a good friend and quite an amazing man, a real cowboy, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Matt Hamilton, the proprietor of the Local Yocal Farm to Market stores, Local Yocal Bar and Grill, the Augustus Event Center, and Local Yocal Outfitters. What have I missed, Matt?
Yeah, so just a small correction there, Bart. That's Local Yocal Barbecue and Grill. Little play on words there. My wife wouldn't let me have a place with the name bar in it, so we had to be Barbecue and Grill. Little play on words there. BBQ and Grill. So yeah, started with the farm to market, then we added the restaurant, LY Outfitters, and because when you're in the meat and restaurant business, you should have an apparel store to support it, and then the Augustus event space and concert venue.
So speaking of your wife, Matt, she must be quite the patient woman handling you. And she has officially 8 kids, right? If you count yourself.
So yeah. Well, I've counted for more than one. We have 7 children that we've birthed, and then I'm twins or triplets or something of that effect to keep up with.
Yeah, if normally a lot of entrepreneurs say they count each one of their businesses as a child as well. You're in the double digits now, so that's good.
I do. There you go. You heard it here first.
So tell us, who is Matt Hamilton? How'd you get here today, and what drives you?
That's a great question. I grew up in southern Oklahoma, farming, ranching, and commercial agriculture. And due to a collapse in our agricultural economy in the late 90s, due to a shift in agricultural policy that stemmed back to the Clinton administration that went in effect in the late 90s, our agricultural infrastructure basically collapsed in southern Oklahoma as the peanut program left, and tens of thousands of acres of high-value crops left southern Oklahoma. I came to Texas in an effort to make a living. And in that process of working in different commercial mostly construction-aligned ventures, met my wonderful wife and got into clean eating, healthy eating, and saw a path back towards ranching via becoming vertically integrated, selling meat, first to the farmers market. So our genius business model, take notes, entrepreneurs, our genius business model was we're going to sell meat at the farmers market on Saturdays, move back to Oklahoma, ranch, raise cattle, and come down here on Saturdays and sell meat at 2 or 3 farmers markets on Saturdays. And that business model is great, except when it rains, it's hot, or the wintertime when there's no farmers market. So you're open 4 hours a week, one day a week, 5-6 months a year. So we needed a butcher shop. So, there was this butcher shop I was using downtown McKinney. Here's another little idyllic business model. It's a mom and pop shop. They've got one butcher. The wife works the counter with the butcher during the week. The son and father come in on the weekends. Okay, 2.0. We're going to open Local Yocal Farm to Market. We're going to have a butcher shop. We're going to move back to Oklahoma. We're going to ranch full time. And 2 years later, we had 14 full-time employees delivering meat to 30-something restaurants all over Dallas-Fort Worth and growing this meat business. So that's kind of how we got that enterprise rolling. From starting the farmers markets, coming indoor, opening a butcher shop where we could sell fresh, not frozen meat, and control the processing and the cutting ourselves.
Wow. And so that was 2009. Was it Genesis Beef was the start of
Genesis. So Genesis Beef. Oh man, that's the way back there. So we were Genesis Beef, and we were just beef. We were Genesis back in the first book of the Bible. That's where God created the animals. That's where He gave us dominion over the animals. It's the first mention of a cow in the Bible is in Genesis. So it all starts in Genesis, and the foundation of clean eating starts in Genesis, and then is followed up in Leviticus. So that's why we were Genesis Beef. A lot of people thought we just really liked that band, but it turned out it was a biblically based company. So that springboarded into Local Yocal, where everything's local and I'm the yokel.
That's right. Well, and so speaking of Local Yocal, localyocalfarmtomarket.com is the website.
Localyocalfarmtomarket.com.
And why don't you go ahead and spell yokel for us and tell us the difference?
YOCAL, not YOKAL. YOKEL, defined by Webster, is the naive, uneducated inhabitant of a rural area. YOCAL, as defined by us, is the forward-thinking cousin to the yokel, trying to break free of a modern agricultural production system, restore health and wellness to our food system and our rural areas.
I love the name.
That's our definition of YOCAL.
That's right. Well, Matt, I don't know if you recall the first time we ever met was a sunny fall afternoon in the fall of 2016, and I'd take time to spend with my young son, take him up, give my wife a break, and we'd go spend the weekend in a small town around DFW. And I remember from the moment we met, I said, "Man, this guy, he loves his town. He loves McKinney." And I think in the kind of globalist world we live in today, it's very rare to find someone so successful, so proud of their hometown that has, really, I say you were McKinney before McKinney was cool. You were McKinney when McKinney was still rural, right? And, if you came in the 90s and you got involved in McKinney, I think it's really, really interesting. And I love to see your growth, in terms of your reward now for doubling down on McKinney.
Well, I appreciate that, and I think a lot of people say McKinney was pretty cool before I ever showed up. And I did move to McKinney in 2001, and it was a fraction of what it is today. I tell my kids this was a dirt road when we moved here. They're like, "Whatever, Dad, just let's go to the baseball game." And so McKinney has grown drastically. I got involved in downtown in 2009 when we started the beef business, and saw the opportunity, and like this is Mayberry. People are trying to create the authenticity of what we have in downtown McKinney, and we were fortunate enough. God made a way for us to buy a building in downtown McKinney, which is a challenge. People jump on real estate down here. Most real estate in downtown McKinney never gets listed. You have to know somebody knows somebody knows somebody. So we got this little foothold in downtown McKinney, and we're able to buy that first property and kind of grow with downtown McKinney, develop our personality with downtown McKinney. And now I feel like, put a little bit of our fingerprint on downtown McKinney that people associate Local Yocal with McKinney and McKinney with Local Yocal and the brands that we've built. Pretty proud of that.
I remember back in the early days, you remember my old Robin, the robotic lawn mowing business. We had a venture capitalist once asked me the question. He said, how do you think about growth in terms of, going broader or going deeper? And I think you've gone broader in terms of businesses, but deeper in terms of doubling down on McKinney. And I'm just curious how you think about growing your brands and the kind of logical succession of getting to where you are today, only in McKinney versus going into other suburbs of Dallas or other, kind of geographic expansion versus, a little more horizontal.
Yeah. We've definitely had opportunities to take the butcher shop that for a long time now, developers coming to me wanting me to recreate Local Yocal in their development in yourtown.com. And then with the restaurant, originally the plan was to put the restaurant and the butcher shop together in the same building. And I had a vision for 8,000 to 10,000 square foot building that could do $6 to $8 million a year of top line revenue between the two concepts. And I still think that's achievable. I just have kind of drifted on that path. It's so hard to go recreate this somewhere else because people are what make it so unique. The recipe is hard to recreate. So because of the ability to be here and so to expand horizontally, if you would, expand here where I'm physically located at instead of vertically expand, if that would be maybe I vertically expand instead of horizontally. However you would classify that, so to going to other towns and trying to recreate what we're doing to get the model worked out. The butcher shop kind of never really made big money. It made a living. It never made money that we were going to you were never going to buy an airplane with a butcher shop, okay? So even a small one. So and that wasn't the goal, but to have if people want to talk about sustainability, profitability is sustainability. If you're not profitable, you're not sustainable. So don't ever be mad at people for being profitable, because that's what makes you sustainable. Otherwise, you're here and you're gone. We expanded the restaurant business because, quite frankly, the margins are better, the volume is better. And I challenge people on, I want you to get your 4 closest friends together, and I want you, or think about your 4 closest friends. I want you to think about how many times you've had them over to your house and cooked a meal or cooked a steak and enjoyed a meal with them in the last year, COVID notwithstanding. And then I want you to think about how many times you have gone out to eat in a restaurant in the last year. So the amount of money that we spend at restaurants is huge. I was privy to some data at that time before we opened the restaurant that McKinney was leaking $65 million annually in restaurant sales. Our citizens were leaving the city limits of McKinney and spending $65 million a year in restaurants outside of McKinney. And that's a huge number. It was a big number. So I just want a piece of that, 10% of that, that number right there. So we were able to get an amazing chef to come up and join us and create what my vision was for, is have the most casual place you could eat a Wagyu ribeye and the most upscale place you could have authentic Texas barbecue. And I feel like we've stayed true to that. We've done that, where we've combined a premium restaurant food experience with a casual restaurant atmosphere, and you can come in a sport coat and be comfortable. You come in a tie and be comfortable. You could come in shorts and flip flops in the summer and be comfortable, and come in and enjoy the atmosphere we had here. And also, I created a restaurant. My vision was working with restaurants all over the Metroplex. 20 to 25% of the people in the F&B industry, food and beverage industry, restaurant, bars, hotels, in that industry are good people. They love the job. We're kind of addicted to this industry. We like serving people. We like seeing happy guests. 75% of the people who are in this business are in the business because they don't drug test. That's why they're in the business, and they can go, smoke weed behind the dumpster on break. I built a business for the 20 to 25% and not 75%, and we collected them. And that's one thing people say, you have the best people. We do have the best people, and from my leadership team down, we try to collect the best people, and that's what makes the difference. And that's why going to your town and building one of these, I think, can be quite a challenge to get things where they're away from our field. But yeah, I have a concept I think that's expandable, but I'm not going to get ahead of the notes here.
That's right. Well, keep doing what you're doing. I'm glad you mentioned the experience, Matt, because I think that the culture you've built and the staff. I mean, truly, some of the best wait staff if you're in the restaurant. In terms of knowledgeable butchers if you're over in the butcher shop, and very, very professional, hospitable staff in the Outfitters group. I think I told you New Year's Day I made the 45-minute trip up to McKinney from our home in Dallas to do the local yokel trifecta. And I think it's the staff. It's like any business, it's people that really makes it, right? And so, what is your secret to finding them, and how do you join the local yokel team?
Man, we're always looking for great people, and God just sends us the right people. Adam and Ashley were such a blessing at the butcher shop. Adam West, there are no words to describe Adam West, his quality as a leader, his talent as a chef. He's one of a kind. And then Ashley, working with us at the butcher shop, turns out she's this retail dynamo. So she had this background in premium retail in Aspen and was in Washington State, on San Juan Island. So the building, it's a beautiful building. You've been to the building, LY Outfitters, and the owner of that building came to me. It's the only place I have a business that don't own the building. I really don't like to rent things. But he came to me and said, Matt, I want you to come into this building. I'm tired of the turnover. Come in and do something in this building. And he said, why don't you open like an upscale bar, a premium cocktail bar? No bars. But I've got an idea, but I can't even think about it till later. So I took this collection of people, so American Hats, great friends of ours. I'd collected people with the Rios or Mercedes boots, Manolio boots. So we kind of had these people in this Western premium, made in Texas, made in America, Schaefer Outfitters, a world. And I thought, there's nothing for men in downtown McKinney. What I mean is there's a lot of boutiques. If you'd like to come buy women's clothing, sundresses, whatever type of women's clothing you want, you can do that in downtown McKinney. But if you need to buy a sport coat or a pair of jeans, you're going to have to get in the car and go somewhere else. So I wanted an experience for men. And people say, oh, man, don't spend any money. So we leverage these relationships. We leverage this opportunity, this beautiful building in the middle of the square, to create what it has turned out to be just a beautiful store. And we're really proud of the brands that we've collected. Those are the people we started with, that we knew. We've added Bed Stew, a wonderful company, relocated to Texas from California for reasons not need to be stated. And they're great retail partner of ours. Madison Creek, Todd, what a great guy to work with, and working with him to grow that brand. And at the same time, a little television show has kind of impacted American culture, good and or bad or both. So it's brought awareness to the Western outdoor lifestyle, which is good, and it's created a urban cowboy boom, if you would, for the type of clothing that I've worn my entire life. So we're maybe ahead of the curve in tracking these things down. So it is interesting how that has affected things, and we'll see kind of where things go with that. But it is interesting how it's affecting our society, and I know you have some thoughts.
Yeah, no, I think, it's interesting. You mentioned Todd from Madison Creek. This is the Kennesaw vest. So one of your top sellers, love the product. Obviously our partner, Kennesaw Company, that we've worked with Todd on in a joint venture there. So, great businessman and, really, really good guy. Just because you have the word local in your name doesn't mean that you don't already have a national presence. I think, as we talk about, how do you grow geographically versus, continuing to just really focus on quality and service and people, that side. I think direct to consumer type opportunities like you're providing on the butcher shop side of the house is a great opportunity for that. I think you mentioned you're moving into e-commerce as well on LY Outfitters. Can you talk a little bit about your shipping?
So we have had a toe in the water, if you would, in shipping meat. I've had a goal of remodeling and expanding the butcher shop to really support that shipping to the next level. There's some things I'm working on there to create more physical space. The meat shipping does pretty well. We have not press the gas on that. We're kind of riding our reputation of people who know us, who love us from here, who've moved away. They we ship meat all over the United States, and every week meat's going out all over the United States. What we're about to launch is home delivery. So we bought a small delivery vehicle. We've invested in some new software that will allow you in Dallas, that whole far 35, 40 minutes away, same amount of time I used to drive to go see a movie when I was a kid, Bart. And, so far away. But we're going to bring groceries to your door. That's right. Your wife will be able to go on to the computer at 9 o'clock at night and select her delivery date, and we'll bring the local yokel right to your house. So that's one online component. The problem with being small is integrating a physical store and an online store. So you have two inventories to manage. So it's been a challenge to get the softwares to work so that we don't oversell. So someone in the store doesn't buy a product away from an online customer or vice versa. So that's been the bridge that we've been working on, bridging that gap. And I think we've got that solved. So we're launching this month, lyoutfitters.com, the full retail side, which is very painstaking because you've got to have every single boot and shoe and a small, medium, large Kennesaw vest in inventory so that you can get those out, facilitate it. And there's staff that have to be dedicated just to managing those orders. So that is what we're launching. My marketing director thinks his projection this morning. He said, Matt, by the end of the year, the online store will be larger than the physical store, LY Outfitters. And I said, well, from your lips to God's ears, because the physical store is doing very well. There's a guy that came to me years ago with a very large marketing group out of Dallas, and he wanted to invest in Local Yocal, and he wanted to open up Local Yocals in every post World War II city in the United States: Atlanta, Phoenix, Los Angeles, Seattle. He called it e-tail, this world of e-commerce, but supported with stick and brick. And he had done extensive marketing. This guy, he's done Super Bowl commercials. I don't think he wanted me to mention his name, but huge company out of Dallas. And he said, Matt, when consumers can buy online, which they want to do, they want to buy online, but there's a place, there's this, if they were on vacation, maybe if they're traveling, they might come and visit this stick and brick store. But if they could look and see pictures of a stick and brick store, they could really walk in and there's a person, there's a face. Consumer confidence is about 80% higher. So if you're company B and I'm company A and you have an online presence only, I can't come see you. You're in a warehouse somewhere. And company A has this physical place that they can be. 80% of the time, price, ceteris paribus, prices are pretty equal. A wins over B when you have that. So I think that's the recipe for me to launch a more productive meat shipping business, which quite frankly, due to COVID, we hadn't had the supply to ship a whole lot of meat. I need to push on the gas on that. But on the retail side, the apparel side, I think that same storyline will be great. There's a physical store. I may never go there, but I sleep good at night, put it under my pillow that I could if I wanted to. It's not just Amazon warehouse. So I know you don't have a physical store, but I'm sorry. It's right on your parade, Bart.
No. We want to promote stores like you, right? And so many of our audience out here, right, has never been to McKinney, has never been to Texas. But I want them to know, the model, that you've employed, and they do support local businesses, and they want to know how they can get involved, how they can make a difference in their communities. And so, I think hearing your story, I know is going to inspire, so many of our viewers here to get out. And if they don't go start their own business, at least they're going to support guys like you in their community.
It makes such a big difference. And you go to smalltown.org, or it's smalltowns.org. So much data. When you spend locally versus any big box store or the blue truck that conveniently shows up in your driveway, when you shop locally, the dollars, that dollar turnover. So when we give $1 to the United States government, so for January 1, hey, United States government, here's $1. That dollar gets spent 4 times this year. So it turns over 4 times because the government's slow. If you didn't know that, the government's slow. All right. If I give a small business that dollar, January 1, it gets turned over 25 times. So would you like to have the sales tax on $4 or $25? Would you like to have the economic impact? Would you like to have the GDP of 25 or 4? So the same kind of thing happens to these bigger companies. Their economic impact of 12 or 14, they're not 4. No one's as bad as the United States federal government. But it's a double. The economic impact of just that money circulating in your local community is double. Then what we do, whether it's supporting Bowie, Texas with hats, where I've been feeding these people 3 meals a year for 6 years. And I used to feed 50 people, and now I feed 125 people. That's how many people are employed in Bowie, Texas, making these hats. I go to Fanolio, and they're holding on to their heritage in Nocona, Texas, of leather craftsmen. And he's got 85 or 90 employees working in Nocona, Texas. Not Nocona, making boots and leather products. Your dollars really do stay here. And one of the most tragic things and the most uplifting things I've heard in a long time is I have a guy that still does a lot of business out of China. He told me that 2 years ago he could get a 40-foot cube from China to Dallas, Texas, for $3,500 to $5,000. That last week it was $30,000, and next week it's $35,000. The line of business this gentleman's in, there's not $35,000 worth of product in the shipping container. So we're going to bring some jobs back home. So, I hope this hyperinflation, some of the things that have happened, bite our brethren across the sea in the butt, and we bring some jobs home. It's almost too late in apparel. I tried to get into the American-made apparel business, and I quickly found out, man, you should have been here 20 years ago, Matt. That would have been fun. We could have made you some stuff, but there's nobody left to make things. And it's really been amazing. So when you can't do made in Texas, made in America, what I can do is a non-government-owned factory, we're still an entrepreneur. It may be in Mexico, it may be in India, but I've got a vest out of Pakistan from our buddy Todd. I said, Todd, really? We're going to do a goatskin vest out of Pakistan? He said, Matt, let me tell you something. One village makes their entire living off of producing these goatskin vests, this goatskin for these vests. We support these people. They're outcasts from the government. They're rebels. They want freedom. They want democracy. And we're supporting the whole village. Give me 20 of them. It's like, how can you not get behind a story like that? If we're going to go change a village in Pakistan by paying them real money and getting the most amazing product you can get, by the way, then that's a story I want to be behind. And not every dollar can be spent locally. But if we can make a 10, 15, 20% change in your budget of where you're spending your dollars, 25 versus 4 or 12, the economic impact is real. And, it's time to bring some jobs back home. Buy less crap, buy better quality stuff that'll last longer, invest in things. People say, Matt, how can you afford to wear them $800 to $1,200 cowboy hats? I said, I couldn't afford the $300 ones anymore. What? I said, I just can't afford them. You wear them 1 year, you throw them away. Wear them 1 year, you throw them away. I'd wear these 2 or 3 years, and I send them back to the factory for $80. They send them back to me to look brand new. That'll last me a lifetime. Oh. So that's where we're at. Boots that can be resold. Where I got tired when I bought. One of the things that really wanted me to open the outfitters, open a restaurant. My wife says, you need some nicer clothes. We'll have a butcher shopping. We're going to do some nice clothes. So we went and bought some sport coats at the warehouse, and I went to Lavender's and Shoe Shed and bought some shirts. And Lavender's Western wear, and they smell great. And after 3 or 4 months, my wife said, "You're not going to wear that shirt to the restaurant tonight, are you?" What's wrong? She goes, "Honey, look at the it's all faded out at the cuff, and the collar's coming unsewn. I'm not wearing this. This is an $80 retail shirt, and it's 4 or 5 months old. I wear it once a week or every other week. It's 4 or 5 months old, and it's coming apart. Well, I no longer can afford the $80 shirts. How can you afford the $100, the $120 shirts when you can't afford the $60, $80 ones because they fall apart, and the $120 ones last 2 years? You can't afford cheap stuff. You just can't. I don't have time for it. I've got no room for mediocrity."
That's right. It's the whole reason for our Better Alternatives section in the Align newsletter, right? We love to point out, but to your point, right? As long as you can come close in terms of pricing, making it competitive, the convenience of buying locally can compete with that big blue truck that comes in, right? And that level of confidence and satisfaction of actually walking into a store, smelling the smells of a store, I believe post-COVID, as we enter into this new era, that we've got a new retail type of experience, right? That people want to come in, they want to try it on. Yeah, they might follow up, but they want to discover a new brand by seeing it in a store, feeling it, touching it, understanding that quality, and then following up with an order.
So when we look at the millennials, we're trying to understand this group called millennials. And Lord help us, the generation behind that. So millennials really do, unlike, so you're a little bit younger than me. You're almost a millennial. I don't know. You might be, Bart. But they actually really do like an experience. So studies show they like to touch it, feel it, learn about it. But if given the opportunity, they want to come in, learn about it, try it on. If given, their first choice would be to buy it at a kiosk in your store and have it shipped to their house. Their second option would be get on your website and buy it and have it shipped to the house. They don't want to carry the bag to the car. They don't want to deal with it. They don't want to be under the pressure of a salesperson walking them to the counter, but they want to talk to someone to find out where it was made, how it was made, were any baby seals killed in the making of this garment. They want to check the box.
Knowledge is power.
We backed the truck over it. It was an accident. I'm kidding. We didn't do that. So it's interesting. So, and we can't compete with the blue truck on quality, on customer service, on caring. And the blue truck has never sponsored your kid's T-ball team. So.
Right. Well, speaking of kids' T-ball team, I mentioned that you were McKinney before McKinney was cool, but you were also a Cowboy before, and I say the BY days before Yellowstone.
I like that.
I like that. You can use it. You heard it here first. If you start seeing this in modern marketing messages, but truly, Yellowstone has changed the dynamic. We joke that even Dallas Cowboy boots have always been at least acceptable to wear in most office environments, but across America, people are wearing more Western clothing. I also heard it's no longer Western clothing; it's American clothing, and the culture's shifting, the culture's changing. And you're no stranger to social media yourself. I think a couple weeks ago, I got a good chuckle out of a video you posted there, and I think you sum it up really well. I'm going to let you talk about it a little bit, but. When you look at society today, I'd say we could use a whole lot more cowboys rather than just cowboy hats. Could you tell us a little bit about that post and the mentality behind it and how it's shaping society?
Yeah, so I in my spare time, as I was running these business 7 kids, I do benefit auctions, and I was at a benefit auction on a weekend, and what I witnessed was I've done this auction 7 years in a row. For 7 years, I've been the only guy there in a cowboy hat. This year, I was not the only guy there in a cowboy hat. But I'm standing there at the check-in, and I see women holding the door open for men in cowboy hats. During the prayer, I see men not taking their hat off. During the Pledge of Allegiance, I see men not taking their hat off. They don't know. They just don't know. They don't know they don't know. They don't have etiquette. They don't know. Right. And that hurts me because where I came from, you see this and you can spot a Bucky's cowboy hat from an American cowboy hat. So, if you broke down the side of the road and a cowboy pulls over to help your wife, where I come from, your wife knows that guy is a good guy and can actually change a tire. And now my wife may have to pull over and help some of these guys in cowboy hats change tires. I don't know. It's sad. So one, it's sad that it's and I get it, and it's trends and whatever. But this isn't. I'm a professional baseball player, and now people are wearing baseball caps. No, this is the crown. This is the crown of our identity. The most recognized American figure in the world. You go to China, you go to England, you go over wherever. There's 3 places in the United States. There's California and New York, and the great land of Texas full of cowboys. Everywhere in the world knows that we're the land of cowboys. And it's the most iconic identity in the world. It's the most recognized identity in the world. And they're kind of poo-pooing on that in the OY. The good guys, there's not a lot of good guys in that. When you really break that show down, they're foul-mouthed, murderous, treacherous, and that's not the people of the West. And now, you screw up, we will smite you. But we won't just come and kill you for your land. But, you can break into our house in the middle of the night. Not going to go well for you. But there's honor to your neighbors. You see, I think what hurts me the most in that show is it's nothing but conflict with the neighbors. There's nothing but conflict. And where I'm from, neighbors go and help each other. Go help each other bale hay, work cattle. They're there, to help and support each other. And that's not the image of the American West are portraying on LY. And I'm sorry. What? The other. YW. So the difference being honor, integrity, manners, and could we not use the F word every fourth word? I mean, you didn't have to be. I mean, it's like, oh, cut. Hold on. That was great. But what I need 5 more F words. All right. So look, we just didn't really just go on about a 6 straight. Could you? All right. Let's roll that again. More F words. I mean, give it to me. Like, I feel like that's how they shoot this show. It's like, oh, crap. Good. Don't try a drinking game where you drink every time I say the F word during that show, because you'll be an early bedtime and a late morning get up for you.
No, I can totally relate. I mentioned on the show before and you and I have talked about it. The family farm I grew up in Indiana. Literally, our Catholic church was right there at the center of that community, right? And that's the other part that really bugs me, right? You can't have the American West, you can't have the cowboy culture without any reference of church. I think in the 4 seasons I've seen, there might be one reference of church, and it's sad because all of the beauty in nature and that. But I've tried to talk my 82-year-old father into watching the show several times, but knowing with the language, he wouldn't make it past the first episode.
I'm going to be honest. I've not watched very many episodes.
So, speaking of a lot of conflict and, issues in that show, I don't know if you're aware, but there's now a course on happiness at the Harvard Business School. Seems like, pretty expensive way to learn about happiness and, probably not the most efficient way either. But I think it's really telling of today's society where you've got the best and brightest academically, learning in a classroom what happiness is and how to achieve it. And I contrast that with guys like you, and I guess I don't know much about your academic background, but I'm assuming you're not an HBS grad. I'm curious, what is happiness to you, and how do you balance that with your businesses and those 7 children? You still find time to be the positive, happy person you are.
It's hard. It's hard. So I think when you're doing what God created you to do, there ends happiness. Like when you're not having to fake it or you're not trying to be something you're not, there ends happiness. Happiness with that, it's hard. Happiness without circumstance. So we had some hard, dark times at the butcher shop. I mean, there were in the year 2 and 3, Bart, there were several months where I did not think there was going to be a local yokel next month. There may not be a local yokel in 2 or 3 months. So we just didn't know. We didn't think it was going to make it. And hey, it's hard to be happy. So if your happiness is in this world, well, that's fleeting. So in that, our my faith really kind of got rocked and challenged. And, my wife and we went through not rough times, like getting divorced, but just like not the best our marriage and relationship could be in years like 5, 6, 7, which, side note, advice for happiness, entrepreneurs, don't have your wife be your CFO and controller. It's really not fun when you're the entrepreneur out there chasing the dream down and your wife is reminding you of accounts payable and that payroll is on Friday and you got to go collect money on Thursday if you want to make payroll. That doesn't go to bed well. So hire someone to do that. And if your wife's gifted at it, hire someone else to tell you need to go get money. So coming out of that and really just trying to get back to, and this is a pretty recent shift in my journey of, you know what, let's quit slaying dragons, and let's enjoy these kids, and let's get back to some balance. Now, there are seasons in life. There's a season to plant, a season to reap, there's a season to harvest. I've been heavy in a planting season for the last 3 or 4 years, literally birthing these new businesses and putting a lot of time into them. Anything that's new, a newborn, takes more time and effort. So now, like, what's next? My wife says no more new businesses, at least for a while. We want to enjoy these businesses like you would enjoy a child. They're up, they're running. The butcher shop can drive a car now. The restaurant can go to the bathroom on its own. And LY Outfitters is about to be out of diapers. So it's great, I relate to the businesses of the kids, but they really are. There's similarities. And so now they're on their own 2 feet, and great people managing them. And I'm kind of at the top, spend a little time at each place. But finding that balance, but knowing that happiness isn't in this world. I mean, I get up in the morning, decide to put your happy pants on, and there's times I decided to not put my happy pants on. I was grumpy, I was in my misery, and wanted to just kind of sulk in that. Man, nobody really cares. So at the end of the day, it's finding what drives you, balancing that with your family. But man, if you're a 2-legged stool of work and family and you don't have the Lord, we're talking driving a car versus driving a boat. I don't even know how to tell you how to operate that vehicle, because I would just be in trouble without it. And so I hope they're teaching them about the Lord over there at Harvard School of Happiness, because eternity's
well.
forever.
If you read the last article about the Harvard chaplaincy, you probably saw that the head chaplain was actually an atheist. So I'm not sure that there's a lot of good direction, but we've got a lot of good Harvard people on our team. I promise I'm not bashing it completely. But when I saw that course come out, I thought, wow, people are paying for a course on happiness. I think they need to have a 10-minute conversation with an entrepreneur and a happy father or mother who's seeking the real happiness.
Self-help books have been the number one selling books besides the Bible. And self-help books, you can't help you. You suck. Okay, you can't help you. You should find someone better than you to help you. If you don't have a mentor, you don't have someone around you. You heard it said, I tell my kids this. Yeah, you want to be a drug addict? Go hang out with 5 drug addicts. You want to be hey, remember when $1 million meant something? What's a new term? We can't say millionaire anymore because, everybody's a millionaire.
Inflation adjusted, yeah.
Inflation. So you want to be a multimillionaire? Go hang out with 5 multimillionaires. Like, who are you hanging out with? You're going to be like that. I say in the world I come from, you rope with like who you rope with. And if you want to go hang out with people that just kind of are here to drink beer and do whatever, then you'll be just like that. But if you want to go hang out with people that are driven to go to the next level and do better and be better, then you're going to be like that. So surround yourself with some good people. I'm thankful that the Lord has seen fit to send some really good people to be around me here and help guide me, because I'm not perfect and don't have it all together, don't have it all figured out, and I have people that I can lean on, that can sit down and go, hey, by the way, you're working too much, or you're doing this too much, or whatever, or hey, you shouldn't have come down that hard on that guy. Whatever it is, there are people that can speak in your life, and if you don't have that influence and you're just looking for help from a book or from some knucklehead at Harvard who I'm sure has got his life completely squared away and figured out. I'm sure that he is just, doing the greatest with himself over there. I don't know who the professor is, but, Dr. Sunshine over there, I'm sure has got it all figured out. And for $12,000 per credit hour, he can help you too.
Well, on a lighter note, before we wrap up here, I need you to help me settle. I've got to share one quick embarrassing personal story here. So It's 2010. I'm based down in San Antonio. Going to Lackland Air Force Base. We're out on leave for a couple days, and I didn't know any better. There wasn't a local yokel in San Antonio that I knew about at the time, right? And we were going out to the rodeo, and so I went to that other store that smells nice, like lavenders, that you referenced earlier. But what I failed to understand fully was the difference between summer weight and winter weight hats.
Okay, yeah.
I bought myself a nice looking light cap because I like lighter colors. I think it's a more positive color. And that night we're out at the rodeo, and I'm feeling like a real cowboy, and really enjoying that. And it didn't take me very long for a real Texan to kind of put me in my place and know I stood out quite a bit there. So can you help us really navigate this winter weight versus summer weight challenge?
So San Antonio Livestock Show and Rodeo is in February.
That's correct.
And you bought a straw hat, I'm guessing.
That's correct.
And showed up like that. So now there's some people, the felt hats are for winter. This is a felt hat made from beaver hair, and straw hats for summer. Now there's a little bit of argument here of when the straw hat season begins and the felt hat season ends. The purist will tell you it is Easter to Labor Day. Easter, you put your straw hat on and you wear it all the way until Labor Day. Well, in Texas, it's still a little hot in September. So I've always done it from Easter until the first morning I wake up and it's below 50 degrees. So if it gets down below 50 degrees in the morning, the end of October, 1st of November, I switch over and start wearing the felt. So it is absolutely, there's little things like how a hat's shaped. Amazing how many people I see wearing their hats backwards. I'm seeing this look like that now, and people just don't know better. Now, I think you guys probably think you look pretty good in the mirror leaving the house, but it helps the rest of us identify you when you don't know how to wear your hat. You wear it backwards. We appreciate that. And we did laugh at your expense. I promise you there were some of my brethren were there, and we made fun of you over adult beverage with your straw hat on in February. And it's San Antonio. Now, and of course, now you get up into Montana and Colorado, and they wear felts year round because it's always cold. But here in this region, it is officially Easter to Labor Day, but I give you grace up until November to wear that straw hat.
Excellent.
Through October. So
thank you for settling that. So final question we always like to end, I say I break out my crystal ball. What does the next 5 to 10 years look like for the Local Yocal group of businesses?
I think it's growing within. It is expanding those e-commerce lines so we can do more business out of the stick and brick locations we have. Do the business that we're geared to do on Friday and Saturday. Do that level of business on Monday through Thursday. It is expand our lines under the brand. So private labeling, growing more brands under LY Outfitters. I'm going to find that location to relocate to Butcher Shop to where I can physically expand it. We have a list of products to bring in so we can physically grow the Butcher Shop and really blow that up. We've kind of got a little burger concept on the shelf, low yoke burger, and there will be a fast casual barbecue, our burger concept. So as soon as my wife gives me the green flag to start a new business, I will do that. As my ranching enterprise is expanding, where we're getting. So at one time I produced all the meat. First 4 or 5 years I produced all the cattle for the entire operation, and then I've leaned on grower partnerships to grow, and that was great. Until grower partnerships got bought out or taken out, and the control was lost of those cattle and how they were being raised and coming to me. So I'm kind of having to get back to growing and developing new grower partners, and part of that it requires getting rid of a lot of ground beef and nothing but Blue blazers and burgers are not going to go out of style. You can write that down. In the men's apparel business, if blue goes out of style, we're out of business. Because we love us some blue. Blue suits will sell, blue sport coats will sell, and burgers and tacos will sell. And so figuring out how to give people a better option in their burger and bring that fast, casual, a little bit lower price point, and brings a really unique concept that would be easier to staff, easier to manage. If anything's easy to manage, if anything's easier to staff post-COVID, and that could have 2 or 3 locations around the close standby area to serve the public. I think that would be the only thing on my 5-year radar. I get offers to come open a local yokel barbecue and grill or a local yokel farm to market in lots of towns. And unless something drastically changes, I don't foresee that happening. I just want to expand what we are doing with those brands here, grow them bigger where we're at.
Well, Matt, thank you so much. I know I speak on behalf of the entire Align audience to say keep up the good work. Double down on your hometown. Maybe not hometown, your adopted town, right? You got here as fast as you could. But, I think I know you've inspired me from the day I met you. I said, here's a guy who loves where he lives, loves his family, loves the Lord, and loves working hard. And, I just want to thank you for everyone watching. If you're in the DFW area, please get out and support Local Yocal and all their businesses. If you're, geographically separated, visit their website, Local Yocal Farm to Market, for the shipping. Local Yocal Outfitters will be shipping soon as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. Really enjoyed it. Come see me.
Thanks, Matt. Thank you for joining us on Align. As Americans, we want to buy from companies that make our country stronger. Subscribe to this podcast and share so we can grow our network of businesses and consumers who share patriotic values.